Paolo Di Canio was 20 years old when he made his first team debut for Lazio, the team he supported as a boy growing up in Rome. An amazing talent, he would never stray far from controversy throughout his career. The hometown boy became a club hero when he scored the only goal of the game to give Lazio a 1-0 victory over arch-rivals Roma in January 1989. His performances at Lazio earned him a move to Juventus in 1990, but in truth, during his 3-year spell at the Old Lady, he was largely a bit-part player. He managed 111 appearances, many of them off the substitutes bench, scoring just 7 goals. In his final appearances for the club, he came on as a sub in both legs of the 1993 UEFA Cup final against Borussia Dortmund, but that summer he would complete a season-long loan move to Napoli. This departure came about due to a massive bust-up with manager Giovanni Trapattoni during a pre-season friendly game. Trapattoni left Di Canio on the bench for almost a full game as he used the entire first team squad and then brought on 3 youth team players just to rub Di Canio's nose in it. Di Canio was then brought on with just minutes remaining and essentially refused to put in any effort during that time. Di Canio would say, "I was furious, steaming inside. He finally put me on with 5 minutes to go and I barely broke sweat. I was so angry at the way he humiliated me. I wandered around the pitch, I couldn't think straight, unable to concentrate." In the dressing room post-match, Trapattoni would criticise Di Canio's effort, which caused Di Canio to snap and ask, "What did you say? You have the balls to talk to me after the way you treated me?" Di Canio claims Trapp then insulted his manners and questioned what sort of upbringing Di Canio had to speak to him in such a way. At that point, an infuriated Di Canio told the future Republic of Ireland manager to go f*** himself and shoved him to the ground. After a relatively quiet campaign at Napoli, Di Canio would join AC Milan in the summer of 1994. During his 2-year spell at Milan, Di Canio again often found himself on the bench, which would again lead to a bust-up with management, this time in the form of future England manager Fabio Capello. Once more, the argument happened during a friendly game, this time as AC Milan toured China in the summer of 1996. Capello had substituted him seconds before half-time, which led to Di Canio asking why he cannot play full games. The manager explained the substitution was made for tactical reasons, but a raging Di Canio countered that the Chinese can't even play proper football and told Capello to f*** off to Real Madrid. The ensuing argument between the pair would open the door for Di Canio to leave Italian football and make a move to Scotland. Celtic claimed his signature for a fee of £1 million. Tommy Byrne's side were desperate to prevent rivals Rangers from clinching a record-equalling 9th consecutive league title and felt Di Canio could add the flair needed to take the team to the title. Alongside Dutch international Pierre van Hooijdonk and Portuguese international Jorge Cadere, Di Canio would form a trio nicknamed the Three Amigos by club chairman Fergus McCann, more for their off-field antics than what they delivered on the park. We have a video about the Three Amigos you can check out on the channel. But on the field, in modern Celtic history, the only other trio of attackers that could truly rival these players would be Henrik Larsson, Chris Sutton and John Hartson in the early 2000s. All three were in their prime, but it was almost as if there wasn't enough room for the three of them. Alongside German attacker Andreas Thom, they all started during a UEFA Cup tie against Hamburg, which Celtic lost 2-0, and manager Tommy Burns would later admit what a disastrous error it was, as none of them were prepared to track back and help out. Overall though, Paolo Di Canio really excelled during his year at Celtic. When the team would often at times struggle, Di Canio carried the side on his back. He was the standout player throughout the campaign, which ended in trophyless heartbreak for Celtic. In an early training session at Celtic, Di Canio stormed off and wanted to leave the club, deeply frustrated at the low quality of some of his teammates in the squad. It may have been true, but it was a selfish and unhelpful way to go about things. Tommy Burns talked him back round, but it was an early insight into the fiery temperament of the Italian. Derby games brought out both sides of Di Canio. He particularly enjoyed these encounters, stating, "There was hatred in the old firm and I soaked it up. I used it to my advantage. I knew perfectly well it was about religion, and while I did not understand or wish to get involved in the dispute, I would feed off it. You could take all the derby matches in the world and put them together and they still wouldn't equal 1/1,000,000th of the old firm. There's nothing like it." In a 2-0 win over Rangers in the 1997 Scottish Cup quarter-final, Di Canio coolly slotted a penalty past Andy Gorham and celebrated by merely shrugging his shoulders as the fans went wild. He enjoyed mocking Gorham, who had deliberately launched a ball to hit Di Canio in Rangers' 3-1 win over Celtic at Ibrox a couple of months prior. Di Canio had scored a great goal in that game as well. Later in the season, Rangers won 1-0 at Celtic Park to essentially kill off Celtic's title hopes. In the first half of that game, Di Canio was desperately unlucky to have a long-range effort rattle off the crossbar. An inventive manoeuvre where the free kick taker Tosh McKinley scooped the ball into the air, allowing Di Canio to attempt a volley. As the players left the pitch at full time, a huge altercation broke out between Di Canio and Rangers midfielder Ian Ferguson. Di Canio claims Ferguson called him a Fenian Italian bastard as they walked off, but Ferguson would phone Celtic manager Tommy Burns that night to deny this. For his reaction, Di Canio was called into the dressing room after the match by old Celtic fan favourite referee Hugh Dallas and shown a second yellow card, effectively a red, and giving him a suspension for the next game. In total, Di Canio made 37 appearances for Celtic, scoring 15 goals. Despite the club not winning any silverware, Di Canio himself would win the PFA Scotland Players Player of the Year award at the end of the campaign. In his interview after being awarded this, the Italian said he wanted to end his career with the club. Di Canio had established himself as a huge fan favourite at Celtic Park and was considered the most important player at the club by the fans. But he would never again play for Celtic. Di Canio demanded a wage increase at this point, which was flatly rejected by Fergus McCann. Di Canio said it had been promised, while McCann denied this. When pre-season came around, Di Canio remained in Rome rather than return to Glasgow. He stated that a little problem had emerged regarding his contract with the club. Fergus McCann appointed Jock Brown as Celtic general manager that summer. He insisted that Di Canio was not for sale. However, just days after this remark, Brown would claim Di Canio had been traded, not sold, to then Premier League side Sheffield Wednesday for £4.5 million and Dutch winger Reggie Blinker in return, stating Di Canio wasn't sold, he was traded. The only way to get Reggie Blinker was to involve Di Canio. He was used as a trading tool to get Blinker. While a lot of Celtic fans were furious to see their star player leave shortly after being promised he was not for sale, others could understand that Di Canio had clearly forced the move. As with all of the three amigos, Di Canio's time at Celtic is remembered as a mixed bag. Undoubtedly one of the most talented players to play for the club in the past 30 years, he was volatile, selfish, and ultimately keen to leave after just a year in Glasgow. Tommy Burns would name Di Canio as both the best player and most passionate player he ever managed. At Sheffield Wednesday, December 1998, he pushed referee Paul Alcock to the ground during a game against Arsenal. Di Canio had been shown a red card following an altercation with Martin Keown, who was also sent off and furiously reacted by shoving the official in the chest. He was issued with an 11-game ban for the incident, and as it would turn out, never played for Sheffield Wednesday again. In January 1999, Harry Redknapp brought Di Canio to West Ham for a £1.5 million fee. The Italian quickly became a key player for the Hammers, scoring what would go on to be voted Premier League Goal of the Decade in a March 2000 2-1 win over Wimbledon. This was his best season at the club, netting 18 goals and 45 appearances overall, leading to him being linked with a move to Manchester United. Though he was notorious for being involved in controversial incidents, in December 2000, Di Canio would instead be involved in a moment that won him the 2001 FIFA Fair Play Award. In the dying moments of a league game against Everton, Di Canio had the chance to score the winning goal and claim all 3 points for his side, as Everton goalkeeper Paul Gerrard lay injured on the floor. Instead, Di Canio would pluck the ball out of the air to halt proceedings, earning him the respect of all fans in attendance. Though manager Harry Redknapp jokingly admitted he wanted to kill Di Canio for the gesture. In January 2001, Di Canio scored the only goal of the game in a 1-0 win for West Ham at Old Trafford in an FA Cup tie against Man United, which again saw Alex Ferguson try to lure the Italian to join his team. But no move to the Red Devils ever ended up materialising, as Di Canio felt he had a loyalty to West Ham after they signed him following the controversial incident with the referee just a few years previously, which meant he might have to leave English football altogether at the time. Despite being such a huge fan favourite at Upton Park, he once again found himself embroiled in an argument with management, this time in the form of Glenn Roeder in 2003. News that Roeder was about to substitute Di Canio in the 80th minute of a league tie against Tottenham reached the Italian, with West Ham trailing 2-1. In his final action before being subbed off, Di Canio set up Trevor Sinclair to net an equaliser and would tell Roeder "F you" as he left the pitch. Despite Roeder downplaying the incident in the press afterwards, Di Canio would find himself dropped from the starting 11 for an extended period of time. Later in the season, Roeder would be replaced by Trevor Brooking, who brought Di Canio back into the fold. The Italian repaid him by scoring the only goal of the game in a 1-0 win over Chelsea in the penultimate league match of the season to keep West Ham's hopes of survival alive. But a final day draw away to Charlton, where Di Canio netted again late on, wasn't enough to spur them from relegation. Di Canio would depart at the end of the season, meaning in total he made 141 appearances for West Ham, scoring 51 goals. Di Canio stayed in England for one more year as he joined Charlton Athletic for the 2004-2005 campaign, scoring 5 goals in 33 appearances to help Charlton earn an impressive 7th place finish. In the summer of 2004, now aged 36, Paolo Di Canio returned to Italy to rejoin boyhood club Lazio. There had always been rumours of Di Canio holding controversial political views, but during that second spell at Lazio, they really came to the forefront. In a 3-1 win in the Rome derby in January 2005, Di Canio scored the opening goal of the game, but stole the headlines for other reasons. In celebration of the goal, Di Canio was seen displaying a stiff-arm salute to the crowd, identical to the Roman salute used by followers of Italy's wartime fascist dictator Benito Mussolini. Alessandra Mussolini, granddaughter of the late dictator and herself a far-right politician, praised Di Canio's actions, stating, "How nice that Roman salute was. It delighted me so much. I shall write him a thank you note." Di Canio denied there was any political content to his gesture, saying, "I am a professional footballer and my celebrations had nothing to do with political behaviour of any kind." Around this time though, when asked to clarify his political leaning, Di Canio declared he was a fascist, not a racist. He was later quoted as saying, "I will always salute as I did because it gives me a sense of belonging to my people. I saluted my people with what for me is a sign of belonging to a group that holds true values of civility against the standardisation that this society imposes upon us." In his 2001 autobiography, Di Canio expressed admiration for Mussolini and praised him as basically a very principled, ethical individual who was deeply misunderstood. Di Canio already had a strained relationship with the Lazio club president, and when his contract expired in the summer of 2006, it was unsurprisingly not renewed. An explosive, volatile figure both on and off the pitch, Paolo Di Canio was an unforgettable character in football throughout the 90s and 2000s. He would later go on to manage Swindon Town and Sunderland, but his career in the sport appears to be at an end now, other than punditry and charity matches. An amazingly gifted footballer, he courted controversy from start to finish, which for many will always overshadow his tremendous talent.